21st, 2024. The DNC, I got to give some content on the DNC right now. Michelle Obama is pretty much trending right now. I got the Google Trends on my screen behind me. It's the DNC. Now, as a moderator, as a mediator, as someone in the middle, nonpartisan, independent, an individual that's a part of the new regime, an individual that's a part of, the movement that's moving away from the two-party system, because there has to be a mediator in the room. So as the nonpartisans who will be writing in, a third party option, the King of all kings, Lord of lords, Jesus Christ in the 2024 presidential election. But we have to be fair. Now, as a political commentator, just like a sports commentator, you have to, comment on both sides. Now, I watched the Republican convention and, Joe Rogan and Kid Rock and, grand old party. They did it how they do it. But the Democrats are showing out in Chicago. OK, and the revolution is not being televised because there are protesters outside. There's Democrats, there's pro-Palestinian supporters that's actually outside protesting. But the Democrats are, they throwing a big old party, man. And I understand how they as individuals or them as a party can be progressively moving from a strategic perspective, because at the end of the day, game recognized game. And when game recognized game, I'm saying that the Democrats are literally putting on a show. In the DNC is very entertaining. Day 2 was off the chain. All the states doing their giving their delegates and giving their votes to Kamala Harris, and they even got me name correctly. It's Kamala. Okay, now game recognized game. So I'm actually proud of what I'm seeing at the DNC. I am proud to be entertained. I'm proud to pay attention and to watch this, the DNC. And like I said, the comments are already starting, man. It's enjoyable to watch, progressiveness, people happy, inspired, people basically, I'm seeing people in the crowd tearing up, for a better tomorrow. And as a black man, I'm proud to see, from a historical perspective that, I've been watching these things my whole entire lives. And in political science classes, we had to watch some of the old ones. So to see the diversity, to see the youngsters, to see the baby boomers, to see different cultures. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. And then from an entertainment perspective, I mean, I watched the RNC and they were born in the USA. They was good old, redneck country boy. But this particular situation, I know they didn't bring out Megan Thee Stallion, but Little John did pop up. I mean, and, turned down for what? Had people just smiling and energized. And I'm sitting back. So they putting on the show. That's one thing that I got to give them. And I'm going to give a hand clap. Like I said, you got to give credit where credit is due. And those who know me know that I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, but I have to give credit where credit is due. And the Democrats are putting on a show. And it's only day 2. So you can only imagine what day 3 and day 4 is going to look like. But I don't know if they can actually top day 2 because of the speakers. Okay. And I got my Google Trend on the board, and Michelle Obama's speech. I've seen in a chat last night that somebody said, why she not running for president? And I feel the same way. But between Michelle and Barack speaking yesterday, even entertained, I even enjoyed first gentleman or the second gentleman, Doug, okay, to hear their story, how they met and him, basically saying he loves her laugh. His son basically said that his father is goofy, so 2 peas in a pot. So they pretty much, that's a union, that they're really friends and they actually enjoy each other. And that's a good situation. But to have a day like day 2 and then bring out Obama, oh man, I mean, and Obama said, and I think he was kind of calling, he's only, the only foolish person to actually follow behind or speak behind his wife, but it was an uppercut, hand right knockout. They knocked it out the park yesterday. I mean, from a political strategist perspective, I believe that they can actually shut it down and say she could just come out with the Obamas on Thursday and say thank you and good night. Get out there and vote, and that will keep the people galvanized, because there's a term called buzzkill. So one thing that I am afraid of is that they're not going to be able to keep that energy today and tomorrow, because today Tim Walz is speaking, and he's going to, it has to be a little downflow, because when you saw, and I know I'm not the only one who sat back, and you talking to and I'm a nonpartisan, sat back and how impressed I was and how I was proud to not only be an American, but proud to be a black man, to sit there and watch Michelle Obama speak so eloquently and, so fearless. And I understand, if we don't have anything, we at least we got some hope. And that's one of the things that she spoke on when Barack was president, because do speak. And she basically said, if we don't have anything else, we have hope, and energy, and the hope is there. And I was sitting back saying like, wow, this is beautiful. Okay. And then right after Michelle Obama spoke, Barack Obama came out and pretty much, I say mic drop. I'm saying mic drop. It reminded me on how together we were as a country, because as a president, one does not do is divide, even though, he created this cliche, and when they would boo him, he said, don't boo, vote. He turns negatives into a positives, and that's the fabric, and that's the temperament of president. Somebody that's going to bring us together, because even when he won, the first time, I'm on corporate jobs and all of that, and I'm working with people, conservatives, but they didn't have anything negative to say about the brother, because he was so polished and he's so motivated and so galvanized. And it just reminded me on how special this country is and how special we could be if we come to people, so I'm sitting back saying like, wow. So they're going to have to keep that energy, because like I said, Obama was a mic drop. I got on the phone last night, having some good conversations, just motivated and inspired to. And I'm like, wait. They talking about Harris. Like, oh, okay. Because the build up is so strong, and the inspiration and the motivation and the togetherness. This is why we cannot be divided as a country. We have to come together, because if we come together as a country, we will be so powerful as the United States of America, and we will be so awesome to the world, and we will to work together and come together to make sure that we take care of home first. I'm sitting back saying like, wow, there's some of you that's already in the chat. You guys are pretty much, I'm sure you enjoyed it as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump in. It's Sophie Joe, but see, that was on Monday night, and I wasn't feeling that. And I got some 2024s. I got the Sleepy Joe. Yes, sir. Who you voting for? I am so glad you asked. And before I tell you who I'm voting for, are you voting for, let me see here, it's cabinets. Let me see the message I got from God in the clouds. Is that the symbol Omega? Okay, that's from Sean. Let me see here. Who you voting for, and who asked me that question? That was Flamin' Ninja. So I'm partisan independent, Mr. Flamin' Ninja. I don't know if you male or female, but I'm that Flamin' Ninja would be a brother, a male. I'm pretty much voting for my Lord and Savior. Okay, you asked me a question. I got to give you the truth and honesty, because I'm a non-partisan independent. And when Michelle Obama said hope, okay, I'm writing in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ 2024, our only hope. And I know without a shadow of a doubt, we're only a few degrees of separation. And I'm sure that they get our content, and I'm sure that they hear the talking points. I'm sure that they're attached to social media, because a lot of the things that Michelle and Obama said is things that I've been saying, and they're echoing the sentiments of the people, because we can't, be pulled in both directions. Okay. One thing that I did hear Obama say, and I agree 100%, he said that this country should not be divided the way it is, divided and divisive as it is. And he also said that, when you have two rival parties, Republicans and Democrats, and then they're, fighting amongst each other and they're going back and forth amongst each other. Obama said it last night. He said it makes regular folks uninterested. So who's the regular folks? He said it makes regular folks uninterested. And what do? They don't vote. Okay. So, and then he also talks about the undecided vote. He also talked about, do not demonize individuals who have not made a selection or individuals that's on the fence, because he knows the data. Okay. He was the president of the United States for 2 terms, for Pete's sake. So he knows the data. He knows without a shadow of a doubt. And this is interesting news to me and to you, is that 47% of registered voters are registered nonpartisan independents. So there's a 47% out there that the Republicans and the Democrats are supposed to be, lobbying or supposed to be promoting their brand to, and they're called the silent minority, which from a mathematical perspective, it is a majority, because 27% of the electorate is registered Democrat and another 27% is Republican, split down the middle. And then you almost have a 50 percentile of the nation, which is a silent majority. And this is how Joe Biden was able to beat Donald Trump, because he resonated with the swing voters, because individuals are not registered as Republicans or Democrats. And anytime that we do, voter registrations, we already check the box already, okay, for nonpartisan independence, because we know that, the Democrats and Republicans, they have a far right wing, Republican Party, and they have a far left wing into the Republican Democratic Party. And if you did not know, 2 lefts make a right and 2 rights make a left. So at the end of the day, it's a full circle and a 3-ring circus to actually keep us discombobulated in the middle. This is why we got to have a group of a remnant, a small group of selected individuals that's going to go ahead and sacrifice the political parties and pretty much fulfill the promise that God has left us with. Because if you really understand, Obama said it best, and this is why I love the brother. He said that it shouldn't be Republican or Democrat. It shouldn't be, so divided. We should be able to work together in partisanship. We should be able to work together to change laws and legislation, because when I study the politics and as a political strategist and a political commentator, there's three things that I see that both sides want. The Republican Party, Trump says it, and now the Democrats are saying it. They talk about the middle class. They talk about the no tax on tips together, and they talk about lowering prescription drugs. These are things that Republicans and Democrats say. These are things that I heard Donald Trump say when he was trying to get elected in 2016. I saw the evidence when he pretty much sued and got the EpiPen to basically be, sold here in the United States, as in our price is supposed to be the cheapest as it is worldwide, because they were trying to, that man was trying to get that pen to be $300-400, and they actually arrested him for doing that. So low prescription drugs is a nonpartisan issue. No tax on tips is a nonpartisan issue. And working with the middle class, they say this, but neither side have legislation that support. Because in California, we just passed a proposition to put $95 billion for the homeless population. That's not the middle class, that's the bottom class. Because if you feed the bottom, then the work class are going to continue to persevere. They're going to continue to work. They're going to continue to pay taxes, continue to do what's right. And they are depending on that to continue from a taxpayer perspective to keep the party going. And when you talk about, the Republican side top down on how they would say, you have billionaires that don't pay taxes and all of this and all of that. But there's always some type of logic that goes along with that, because if the billionaires are getting tax breaks, these are job creators. So when they get the tax breaks, it's a trickle down philosophy, and they create jobs and the whole nine. So it's literally all, come to a point. Obama said it best. And him and Michelle were just really shy of saying make America great again, because they said this is what makes America great. Both of them said that. This is what makes America great. And then if we continue to do this, this will make America great. So the argument and the debate will make it great again. It's just a cliche and a patent that the Trump administration have put in, but everybody in this country want to make America great again. This hat says make African American black again, because when African Americans were black, we stood together in solidarity as a people for the community and was leaders in our communities. And it had nothing to do with your racial, your sex, creed, or anything. It was black men in leadership. So let me see here. Thank you. You are so welcome, Mr. Sean. Love you, brother, and what you do. Hey, I appreciate you. So love me back. Hit that like, hit subscribe. It's going to just help the channel continue to grow. And I promise you, in the weeks to come, we're going to basically change this platform, and we turn it up. We got software going. I just need my tech guys to set me up, and we got to make this thing happen. Let me see here. We're all humans and make mistakes. We are all humans, and I'm in it right now. We all are human and makes mistakes. But sometimes when we make mistakes, there's a term called accountability. So if you made a mistake, I would say repent, because the kingdom of heaven is at hand. But if you make a mistake, so got to just deal with the consequences that came with the mistake and the choices that we make, because there's legislation out there. If you make a mistake in these streets, you will find yourself behind bars. You're doing a mandatory minimum sentence. And if you did not, Proposition 36 is popping up, and it's pretty much a double down with the 94 crime. But last night was amazing. And I went to my Google Trends to see if Michelle Obama is actually trending with her speech. And I guess Lil Jon is trending right now, and Jennifer Lopez is trending right now. And that's entertainment, but I'm not going to get into that. But apparently she filed for divorce with Ben Affleck. So I don't know what that's all about. But amazing event last night. I can't wait to see what they're going to do today. But I think last night was Black Night. Okay, I think last night was Black Night with Lil Jon, and I think with EJ and how everything was going, because it was a setup for Michelle and Barack Obama. But tonight, the keynote speaker is Tim Walz, and black people put T's in his name. We call him Waltz, but it's Tim LZ, and he's the keynote speaker tonight, and he's from Minnesota. And from a progressive perspective, that's the only issue that I have with the Democrats right now, because I believe that they could have put another person of power in that position. But I understand when you have a black woman, you would need a white man to back her up to resonate with the whole country, because he will literally be the saving grace, and he will be the one that's going to go out and get some of these on the fence white voters. Because if you did not know, in the state of Minnesota, where he's the governor, a lot of the whites in the state, from a statistic and polling perspective, are leaning towards Trump. But the division is the part that's literally why I have an issue and why we're pulling out. Okay, just like somebody asked me who I'm voting for, I'm going to be sacrificing my vote in the third party coalition. I don't have no skin in the game, but we're going to be trending, from whatever percentage we do from a third party, because when the Democrats, from a progressive perspective, when they say we're not going back, we're not going back. From a black man's perspective, who's been blackballed and ostracized and pushed out of the party, we have some unfinished business that we need to handle. And we're not going to, be fighting and causing problems, but we want to work with whoever is in office. And we don't want to sit back and be cooned and what I would say, pander to every 4 years. But one thing that I do have to say, when the vice president's husband, Doug, okay, now when he told his story, I believe whoever wrote told him to be cool, because he said some things, and he was pandering in the beginning. And when he introduced his mother, he basically said, and I quote, "That's my mother." And was doing, I'm like, hold up, bro. Wait, were you Jersey Shore right now? Wait, you a Jewish man. You went to Hebrew school. What are you doing? And then he said, yeah, that's my mother. And then he started to speak. because his son said that his father was goofy. How was he going to pull Kamala Harris? And he turned and said that he loves her laugh. So literally it's two peas in a pod. So, but he was basically came out, that's my mother. Like, duh, come on, homie. Listen, man. Like I said, nobody has to pander to us. Stop it. Because when you say, like black men, stepping and fitting and cooning and all that, the white folks, they somehow learn that from us, because somehow they come out and they think that they need to be something different to us. And we're basically saying, just be yourself. Because when when Walls come out, he be just, doing, I'm just sitting back like, come on, bro, like relax, just be yourself. Because somehow, some way, some psychologist done told them, oh, the jigs, they like energy, you gotta, come with high energy and all of that. You just be yourself. But one thing that I do have to just give a negative review on is Kamala Harris' husband, when he spoke and he started speaking, trying to be cool, that's my mother. Yeah. And just like when he was telling the story about when he spoke to Harris on the phone, she's a sister, and she had to let him know that he don't have to do that, because annually she plays back that voicemail. And he basically was trying to be cool. And he told the story last night. Hey, he left a voicemail when he first called her. Yeah, this is Doug. Yeah, how you doing today? Like, I mean, come on, man. That's all. That's cool. So all I'm saying is just be yourself. And I'm so proud to be free here in America, where I can actually be myself, because it was a very, trying times growing up, and older individuals tell us, you got to play the game. You got to say, yes, sir. And you got to act way and walk this way and all that. And I'm so grateful that I was able to stand my ground and be authentic. So now there's no content, and there's no, no data out there that's saying that I'm not, who I am, and I'm out there faking, because sometimes you got to fake it fake it to make it. But I'm so grateful that I was able to stay myself. And then now we're sitting right here, being able to be who we are. Okay. I got a couple in there. Let me see here. Forgiveness with redemption. Listen, forgiveness with redemption. Absolutely. But if you're going to redeem, then you're going to have to show us something and make us feel good. Because one thing that I do know, and I'm throwing this out there, but I truly don't believe that they would do it. And this is why we're saying we're not moving back. They're trying to move us far away from, from the past. And this is why we don't see an Oprah Winfrey, or this is why we don't see Gail, or a lot of the individuals, black women that were, part of the boule, a part of this operation, because they don't associate with Harris. Okay. Where's Whoopi Goldberg? Whoopi Goldberg loved, Harris and Doug so much. Why she's not in the building? Why she's not talking about it? So I'm saying is, there's a group of people that's a blast from the past. And when I say a blast from the past, they know the struggle, they know the fight. And these individuals are literally being excluded. And this is when they say, we're not going back. Because when you talk to Oprah Winfrey, Oprah Winfrey went on record and racist, people in the Democratic Party just going to have to die out. And there's a lot of things on the line, even talked about Project 1619, reparations, the whole nine. But the Harris campaign is being guided to literally move away from, what was promised. And this is why they keep saying, we're not going back. We're not going back. Because the only way you can move forward correctly is to understand the past. But the Democratic Party don't want to talk about the past, because the root of the party was literally negative. It's not positive at all, especially when it comes to race, when it comes to slavery, when it comes to the black codes, when it comes to all of those things, because it's all going to lead to America's original promissory note. And that was the Freedmen's Bank Bureau that pretty much Abraham Lincoln put away $8 million for the newly freed slaves, and is gaining interest on a daily basis. They're going to have to talk about reparations. But that's one thing that she probably had to take an oath, because when they ask her the question, I'm speaking on Kamala Harris, I'm not just going to do anything just for black people, but they're doing a whole lot, Israel. They're doing a whole lot for the Asians. They're doing a whole lot for the migrants, for the illegal immigrants. So it's literally a slap in the face to us that's been here. And it's literally an entire generation that they're trying to skip. So this is why we're pulling out of the two-party system, so we can work together for humanity. Okay, because we're not going to just sit back and just act like our ancestors didn't fight hard for us to be in the position that we're in right now, because we're looking at the children's children that they're indoctrinating into something that they really don't know and really don't understand. So in terms of the last of the Mohegans, metaphorically, the last of the great generation is the generation X, which is my generation, which is an unknown factor. And we were raised by the baby. So we have to make an educated decision on what we're going to do, but we still can engage. If we're the bastards of the Democratic Party, that means we're the bastards of the Republican Party. That means we could crash both parties. And if you want to go and have fun, you can go incognito and have fun on both sides. You can do that, but we're not going to sit back and progressively move away, from the truth, because the truth shall make us free. So there's a lot of unfinished business on the table that the Democratic Party refuses to address. But the only way they will address the issues is that we have a remnant group, a third party coalition, and a third party culture that will be willing to have conversations for all of humanity. Okay, because if we're sitting back and just partying and we just go along with the flow, we're registered Democrats, we're going to just vote Democrat no matter what. That's what they're banking on. But if there's a group of people that says we don't want to be the prosecutor, no pun intended, we have a prosecutor run for president. We don't want to be, the defendant. Okay, we've been defended. We've been in these situations as a race because 6 out of 10 black men has been behind bars from a municipal, state, or federal perspective. And you can look at the documentary on Netflix called The 13th to see that, which was a mass incarceration bill signed by the Democratic Party, which is a pretty much a slave move because it's predicated on the slavery clause in the Constitution, because the 13th Amendment reads neither slavery nor voluntary servitude, unless criminalized, and that was put in by Andrew Jackson after the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. So there has to be a group. So we have to be addressed, just like the Native Americans have there. If you look up Native American nonprofits and foundations, you will find hundreds of them. If you look at the Latinos of America, you will find hundreds of them. If you look up the Jewish and these coalitions, you will have embassies and all of this. So we're the only group or culture that have not developed or to that level. So this is why we're seeking a constitutional amendment. This is why we're going to be raising funding, for a black embassy. This is why we're going to do what we need to do. So when we figure this thing out, it has to be, righteous. It has to be righteous, and we're going to figure it out, but we're not going to have no enemies. Okay. We're predicated on love. We can go under the term of a theocrat. We can figure this thing out. And it is what it is. Let me see here. I am behind bars. Free me. Okay. Big Rock, big. Hey, my brother. Hey, right in. Well, like I said, okay, you can't vote, but we're going to try our best to free. This is why we are creating a coalition predicated on black men, predicated by the black race. And black is an acronym for Black, Latin, Asian, Caucasian kinship, meaning we are all related. And if we can close the chapters on racism in America, then America can actually be the great nation that Obama and Michelle be talking about. And Obama said it best. We're not there. We're not there yet. We'll get there. But how can we get there if we keep on moving forward? So there's nothing wrong with looking back to the past and seeing where the mistakes was made and fixing and correcting those mistakes. Because if you build an infrastructure and you forget, to build, the foundation solid, or solidify the foundation through, building the structure correctly, then as soon as something happens, that foundation is going to shake and everything that was built is going to fall down. And America is predicated on repeal and replace, nation building, regime change, keep on doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over and just keeping the party going. That's the science of Willie Lynch. So we got to break the cycle. Let me see here. And let's free Big Rock Big. Okay. Now I'm saying they call me racist, Nazi. My son calls me dad. I never had my own child, but I did it. It would be a good father. If you did, you'd be a good father. Absolutely. I'm a father of 2. So, and when you raise your children to be better than you. Okay. Because like I said, me being a father and my brothers that got children, our kids are knocking it out the park. Our kids are knocking it out the park. because they had us to rely on. We kept it honest with them. Anything that they need, we made sure that they had everything that they need, because the baby boomers raised us right. Go to college, get that education, figure it out, learn how to love, learn to people, learn how to communicate effectively with everyone. So let me see here. Welcome. Let me see here. My grandma was a racist, but I didn't talk to her for 8 years, and now she's dead. So it's a big difference between racist and prejudice. Okay, when you're a racist, just to get on the same page with Mr. Sean, when you are a racist, you have to have power. Okay, you have to have a power, and there's a term called due process. Now, a true racist is a person who have some power, but they say, I'm only going to hire whites, I'm only going to hire Latinos, I'm only going to hire blacks, I'm going to exclude these individuals because they don't look like me, they're not where I'm from, and I don't like them, and I'm just going to keep, that's racist. A prejudice is just that you just don't like a person. Some people are prejudiced to tall. Some people are prejudiced to fat people. Some people are prejudiced to ugly people. Some people are just prejudiced. That's just a prejudice. It's just prejudice. You just don't like that. But due process is when you have an entire system attached to the government, and the government is aiding and abetting the killing and the demise of people. Because you could say America is racist to the Palestinian people. This is why the Palestinians will not be supporting the Democratic Party, because they're out there protesting. And one thing you see in Chicago, if they don't want you to ride, they can shut it down. Because, when these cities burn, I'm convinced that they let them burn. They let them burn, because in Chicago, there's protesters by the tens of thousands. They got barricades. They pretty much created a sanctuary city around the United Center in Chicago. The police got on riot gear. They got the National Guard out there, and they making sure that nothing happens. And anytime that there's a little flare up, they got troops running, in cadence to shut it down. And I'm sitting back like, wow, they really can shut it down if they want to, and that's real. So these cities that burn down, these Democratic cities that burned down during the George Floyd, they let all of that happen. And it's crazy that the city that it happened in Minneapolis, and the National Guard was not called, and Mr. Tim Walz, the VP candidate that will be accepting his role this week, and today he will be the keynote speaker. He's the governor of the state and refused to call in the National Guard and allow Minneapolis to burn down. So I'm thinking that was the play, because now he's the vice presidential candidate. And let me see here. Yes, better than society. Let me see. Are you voting for Cheryl DePosey? Okay, Cheryl DePosey. Now, I don't know too much about Cheryl DePosey. Let me see here. Cheryl DePosey for cabinet. Okay, I would have to look that up because I'm not familiar with Cheryl DePosey for cabinet, and I'm not sure what cabinet position that she will be lobbying for. Is it on the federal level, state level? So you could give me some more information. I'll do my due diligence and look it up. But for president, we're going to be writing in Jesus Christ, because just like today, how Michelle Obama's trending on election day, we want Jesus Christ to trend. And when they sit back and say, who would do something like this? Okay, who didn't vote for the Republicans? Who didn't vote for the Democrats? And we're going to show up and say, hey, here's my screenshot of my vote. I voted for Jesus Christ, and this is what we want. We want this country to start loving on each other. We want this country to end poverty. We want this country to end, the crime and all of it, because we got enough money to do so. Because like I mentioned earlier, both sides are talking about the middle class, which neither side does anything for. Trump started with the no tax on tips. Now Harris is saying no tax on tips. Lower the prescription drugs. The Trump administration was very strong on that. Now the Harris is doing that. So these are two bills that can actually get done, because there will be no partisanship there, and they'll be able to work together. And the last time that there was the House was not divided is when they put crime bills on the table. And in the Senate, the 94 crime bill passed. That was pretty much written by Joe Biden, signed into law by Bill Clinton. It pretty much passed 96-4. So that was togetherness. And if you understand, 4 Republicans did not vote for the bill. Okay, it was hook, line, and sinker for the Democrats, because the Democrats, their responsibility is to make sure that they keep, the African Americans or the slaves, in check. Okay, now you asked me that question again. Are you voting for Cheryl DePosey for cabinet? But I really need to know who she is. Now, I asked the black men why they didn't quit. He said, okay, you asked the man. Okay, I need a little more information on that. Okay. I need a little more information on that. Let me see here. And that's Sean. So give me a little more with that. I asked the black man why they didn't quit. Okay. They had children to feed. Okay. Let me see here. Maybe I'm missing something. Okay. I may be missing something, but I'm sure he'll go ahead and continue to feed information. I'll be able to answer, but last night, man, that was a breath of fresh air. So I wonder what's going to happen tonight. And I'm talking about the DNC miss it, man. It was a phenomenal event. I got to give it 2 thumbs up. I got to give it 2 thumbs up. Okay. I mean, send to that load bearing wall behind you. Okay. That load bearing wall behind me, that's pretty much Google Trends. And I'm going to give you a little game right now, because Google Trends is one of the sites that you go to see what's trending. If you're a content creator, you go and you go to Google Trends, and if you want to know what's in the world and be tuned in, okay, because Jennifer Lopez right now, that's a good story to report on or give some content, because she filed for divorce with Ben Affleck. Michelle Obama's speech is off the chain, and actually Little John is trending because he came out. Little John, DJ Cassidy, the DNC roll call, they did that last night. So I wonder how they're going to top it tonight. Not sure how they're going to do it, but it is what it is. But I will be checking out Cheryl DePosey and see what's going on. But these comments, man, you guys are, let me see here. My boss was a racist. But listen, hey, Sean, every boss that I've worked was a racist. And this is why, as a black man, we know how to coon. We know how to step and fetch. We know how to play the game. And that's the difference between us and the rest of humanity, because how I'm talking to you right now, this is being myself. But when I went in there with my racist boss, good morning, Dan. How was your weekend, sir? Okay, so what's my duties for today? Okay, now I read your email. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Anything you need, give me, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, but then go outside. You bitch ass nigga. Straight up, you got to learn how to play the game. But you can only play the game for so long. And this is why they mean, and forgive me for what I said, but this is why they mean, selling your soul. You can only play the game for so long, but you're going to come into a time where you're going to have to make a decision that I'm not going to go all the way in. Now, sometimes you sell your soul and you go to your grave protecting the mistake. And this is challenge that the older generation have. This is the challenge that the baby boomers have. This is why they hate Trump, but they're supposed to love their neighbors. They love themselves. They're mad his head didn't get blown off, but you have to understand the position. They had to side with the Democratic Party, and they to be accepted in the Democratic Party, not understanding that it came out of sacrifice, because the data shows that the Democratic Party accept phenomenal individuals, the boule, the top 10%, and the individuals that they decide to pick from a DEI or a affirmative action. These are life choices, because now they're in their late 60s, 70s. What choice do they have? And then you have their sons looking at the situation, who played the game long enough to know that it was a trap, because on July 2nd of the year 1964, the Civil Rights Act signed, and we did not even commemorate it. It was the Civil Rights Act was signed by a Democratic president who wanted to win the re-election, Lyndon Baines Johnson. And we didn't even celebrate or commemorate 60 years Civil Rights Acts, because if you look at the data shows that the Civil Rights Acts destroyed the black nuclear family. It created the welfare state. It created everything, it benefited everything but the black community, because the women's live organizations, the women's empowerment movement got strong. The LGBTQ community got strong. But when it comes to Black Matters, they sent black men to Vietnam, put them on the front line. They went out there, got hooked on drugs. When they came back, they ran the heroin, they ran the crack era, all of that. And this was how they pretty much created a criminalization culture, which is a part of the 13th Amendment. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude less criminalized. So now we created a criminalization culture. So now we could just round them up, overcrowd the prisons, and pretty much pump money into prisons and pay more for prisoners in every state in the union, and more for prisoners than we do to educate. So we see the data, and this is why we're pretty much don't want to continue with the Democratic Party as a whole. We don't want to go to the Republican Party, because I don't know too many Republicans. I mean, you got Orange County, Thousand Oaks and all that, but I'm in South Los. I don't know too many Republicans. So when somebody gets killed or murdered, there's robbery or anything in my demographic, it has nothing to do with a Republican. So these are Democratic issues, and they pretty much create climate to pretty much, not extort them, but to basically, condition their mind and create an ecosystem. They're going to have to do some strange things for survival. When somebody's desperate and somebody's hungry, you don't know what they're going to do, and it's kind of crazy. So they'll be willing to take a penitentiary chance just to get a burger. This is why when we talk about the Republicans and Democrats, why they just pander to the middle class, they need to support the middle class and to give some type of tax breaks. And one of the measures that we have on our agenda as nonpartisan independents, who will be writing in Jesus as a protest vote. And if you're a Republican or Democrat, I'm not telling you what to do. Our job is to fulfill. Our job is to do what we're going to do. But we want to create legislation that's a win-win for everybody. So I'm sure all the people that's on right now, I'm sure a lot of you are at work and you are wage earners. Could you imagine a group of people that goes to Washington, an independent body, and lobby for the working class and say, we want to abolish payroll taxes? I'm abolishing payroll taxes. And we've already had the thing. So how are we going to pay? Okay, we're going to add 2 cents to the dollar. Okay. And to confirm that fact, Measure M in the state of California was a 2-cent tax to basically build a train rail from Hollywood Boulevard to the 105 freeway, down the middle of underground and down Vermont Avenue here in Los Angeles. And in just 2 years, they raised $480 million off of 2 cents. And think about that. And then when you talk about being in America and being fair, think about it. Why is it's not fair for a wage earner, for somebody to work 8 hours a day, a week, and then if they have the opportunity to work some overtime, they're going to get taxed higher at a higher tax bracket. And then when they get that check, that weekly check or that 2-week check, and Uncle Sam has taken $800 out of their payroll tax, out of their payroll check. Think about that. And this is why they try to get into your head and, child credits and, income tax and all that. No. We talking about no payroll. This is one of the things that we're going to be working on as a nonpartisan independent group, because we work for the people, and the Constitution says we the people. And that's a bill, that's legislation, that's a law that would actually change the life of every working class person on the planet. You will immediately get a 20% raise on the spot. Think about that. It won't happen. If we're Republicans, we're Democrats. It don't happen that way. So we're literally the mediator between the two rivaling tribes. And like Obama said last night, it shouldn't be divisive. It shouldn't be divided, because when we fight, folks tune out. Okay, so we do tune out. But my whole purpose of being is to find solutions and resolutions. So one of the solutions to the economy, one of the solutions to inflation, one of the solutions to all the higher prices in gas is an abolishment of payroll taxes, meaning If you have a job, they will not take, take your medical, they'll take the state. Okay. But we're talking about federal, no federal taxes at all. So that big lump sum of money will be in your pocket on a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, quarterly basis for you to make a decision on what you want to do with it. You want to invest it. You want to basically, improve your quality of living, because if you're making around $50,000, you're paying almost $2,000 a month in taxes. And I'm sure you can use that extra $2,000 a month to basically, improve your quality of life. So these conversations that we have to have out of the two-party system, because when they talk this talk every 4 years, most of the stuff they can't do. I've seen that Kamala Harris put out that she's going to build 3 million houses. That's impossible. Who's the contractor? Where's the location? We could barely, build tiny homes, and you want to build 3 million houses on what companies? You see, it sounds good, but it doesn't make any sense. So all I'm saying is the working class, the middle class have to literally, pull out of the two parties and have to work together to create, measures and to create policies that's going to help their position and their disposition. Now, let me see here. I know lots of Republicans that will help. Absolutely, because all humans will help. When you're a human being, human beings have not only a like-minded, but a like-kinded. So human beings will actually work together if it's not divisive, and if each side could see where there's a win-win. And this is what we're doing, recreating win-win. Who you voting for? Okay, from a third-party coalition, that's another individual. That's, let me see, Ganja King B. Ganja King B. Oh, you spoke of that Ganja, bro. So who am I voting for? I will be sacrificing my vote, for the Most High. Okay, I'm glad that you asked. I'm going to be delivering myself, and I'm working with on the fence, and we're going to be delivering ourselves, and our coalition grows on a daily basis. And we're going to be writing in a third party option this presidential election. And it's literally like in the biblical days, we're literally putting lamb's blood on our door. Okay, because we're going to sacrifice our vote, and we're going to write in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Okay, write in Jesus Christ 2024, our only hope. And I was so happy when Michelle Obama said it seems like hope back on the agenda. And that was a beautiful thing, because Jesus Christ is our only hope. So that's who I will be voting for. It's a third party coalition, and it's lobbying and speaking with individuals who, the 40% nonpartisan independents, the individuals that's going to be looking for a third party option. I got a email while we were speaking from individuals that work with the Dr. Cornel West, his organization, and they're pretty much look like they may be on board, because Dr. Cornel West is only on the ballot in 9 states. So it would literally be a waste. But if we're a third party coalition, we come together, that would be a beautiful thing. And RFK Jr., he's looking like, from an independent perspective, that he's going to tap out and he's going to endorse Trump. So a lot of the people that were leaning towards a third party option with RFK are joining the movement and a coalition of the Jesus Christ right in, because whatever percentile on election day, Jesus is not going to win place, but he's going to show. So whatever percentile that is. So just say if Christ gets 11%. Jesus Christ gets 11% on the election day, we're going to classify ourselves as the 11%, and we're going to go to the inauguration, and we're going to lobby Joint House of Congress, and whoever the president is, whether it's Kamala Harris or Donald Trump, we're going to be representing that 11% to basically create laws and to litigate for righteousness for the people, because there are some things on the table, reparations, the whole nine, and we're even open to reparations to the middle class, whether you white, black, or American citizen, there's enough money to share in the Freedmen's Bank. You're talking about almost $300 million to share amongst our partners and friends. And like I said, make African American black again. And black is an acronym for Black, Latin, Asian, Caucasian kinship. And kinship is the sociology of humanitarians. We're bringing this thing together. But the black man, the descendants of transatlantic slave, who our 400-year birthday anniversary on the 360 calendar was yesterday. Look it up. Jamestown, Virginia, August 20th, the year 16. And on the 360 calendar, our birthday was yesterday. So we're 400 years has expired, and that's biblical. So we got to go ahead and make a move, because there has to be a judge in the courtroom. Down in the two-party system, this duopoly, it's like having a prosecutor and a defense attorney with no rules, and they basically just saying anything to convince the jury. But we can be, the judge in the courtroom, the mediator between the two rivaling tribes, and we can basically be classified from a biblical perspective, the remnant in modern times, a small group of people that's literally going to the world, but we got to take care of home. So this is why, if you look at Z, what starts after Z? A, back to the front again, Alpha, the beginning, the end, the first and the last. And when God, he created male and female, and that's where it stops right there. So we got to man up, do what we got to do as a people. Shout out to Jesus Christ, but not even he can't save the country. LOL. He can't save the country, but the people who are called by his name can. Ganja King. Now, as in the book of Galatians, it says those who are called by my name, that means Christ. Not a Christian. A Christian is something like Christ. I'm a Christ. So that means my daddy is a Christ. So that means I'm a Christ. It's like my last name is Glover. I'm a Glover. So I'm representing the Glovers. So I'm representing Christ. And when Christ was here, he did not claim to scribe of the Pharisees, which is today's modern day Republican and Democrat. He came to fulfill. So this is why he's ordaining us to fill in his name on November 5th. Because this is what he did. He did not subscribe to the Pharisees, because the scribes and the Pharisees, what did they do? They the ones that crucified. So the scribes and the Pharisees tried to assassinate Donald Trump. And that's democracy. Democracy killed John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, Black Panther movement. Democracy killed, King, Malcolm. And the list goes on and on and on and on and on. Let me see here. I'm saying my grandma keeps a loaded gun on the wall in the living room. And let me see, in the South would come against it and didn't have any food in the refrigerator and beer. Well, in his mind, sometimes you're a lost soul. So in his mind, Sean, he was ready for the war that never came. So this is why he practices his rights to be a gun owner. This is why he, practices constitutional rights to bear arms. And sometimes, we get lost in the sauce. So this is why I can understand what the Democrats are saying, in the sense of we're not going back. But sometimes when you make a mistake, you got to go back and see what a mistake was made. And the mistake was made at the signing of the Civil Rights Acts in 1964 and the signing of the Voting Rights Act in 1965. Because the blacks, we didn't choose, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. And I'm sure you heard that before. We didn't choose the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party chose us. So how are we going to move forward if we continue to be pushed out of the party? Times when you stand for righteousness and you're willing to make sacrifices and you're willing to put some respect on your God's name and put that name in on the ballot on election day, you don't get pushed out, you get pushed up. So this is what we're doing. So if that's it, because you guys, I appreciate y'all. Hit the likes, hit the subscription. You guys lit up my chat once again. And so glad that we're free to have these conversations, because it was a time in America where, as a black man, you couldn't just talk all freely. You couldn't just do, what you want us to do. OK. And like I said, I'm into a transatlantic slave trade. I trace my ancestors back to the Carolinas, to the Union soldiers, the black regiments, and confirmed by DNA, as well as confirmed, Ancestry.com. And it is what it is. So we as people, We got to make a decision on what we're going to do. So what I'm saying is, if you are on the fence, if you are a registered independent, non-party, and if you are considering a third party option, we're asking you to write in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And believe me, you will be blessed, because we will have a percentile of individuals that be working and operating, with any presidential candidate or any administration from here on out, because we got to identify ourselves and we got to single ourselves out, just like every other race, creed in this nation. Because if you wanted to go to a black embassy, we don't have one. It's called the county building. Okay, but if you wanted to go to the Chinese embassy, if you wanted to go to the Asian embassy, if you want to go to the Mexican embassy, if you want a Jewish embassy, if you wanted to go to the Korean embassy, if you wanted to go to the Kardashian, the Armenian embassy. Okay, so we're the only group of people that's sitting on the fence, because we went all money in the Democratic Party, and all they did was, take the top 10%, create affirmative actions, and right now this DEI is pretty much, the catalyst, and they're picking and choosing the individuals to actually speak for them, and they're for the powers that be, and those powers that be are practicing the principles and rudiments of white supremacy, because they allow our country to be destroyed, to pretty much in our communities, so that their children's children could be blessed down the road. Because when you look at the statistics, and I've seen this, and a lot of times, they don't tell you the whole truth. When they say crime is down, murder's down, it is on a national perspective. But in all the Democratic cities, it's through the roof. Crime, retail theft, car theft, all of that murder, mayhem is through the roof in all the Democratic cities. Is national scale. It is. So when you hear them say that, it is down. But from a Democratic perspective, it is through the roof in Democratic cities. I looked it up, and I'm gonna look at this. I looked up the 2024 census up until the worst and dangerous cities in America. 18 of the cities were Democratic ran cities. The number one was Memphis, Detroit, St. Louis, Birmingham, and the list goes on and on. One city was an independent, and that was Las Vegas, and I think it was. And another city, Stockton, California, just gotten a Republican mayor, and it went from 4th to actually, I believe it was 16, and you could confirm that for me. So, but at the end of the Democratic cities and the Democrats is grounded on slavery, free labor, incarceration. And when I say free labor, after the Civil War, the sharecroppers, pretty much paid their tax through goods and services and working on the farmer plantation that their parents worked as slaves. And if there's no difference, but then the criminalization clause allowed them to pretty much just round up the newly free slaves and criminalize them. And the entire South was built on free labor. But we're going to have these conversations. It's not the party. It's not the P party. And we're all the bastards of the party. So just when you look at the DNC, in which I'm enjoying it, and Michelle Obama, Barack, I mean, that was a beautiful thing yesterday. Just think about who you don't see. The Oprah Winfrey's, the Whoopi Goldbergs, the Gayle Kings, the people that were relevant is moving past all of that. So with that being said, let me see here. God has already lived in this time, and the God's past I have seen and showed the future. I'm still selling boxes of energy. Amen. He lives through us. So I'm motivated and inspired by God. And if I didn't have God in my life, I would be, just doing me, living my life, turning up on a daily basis. But he did something to me. I made some time ago, and I'm fulfilling that promise today, because through the Holy Spirit, he's telling me, job well done, son. I've been faithful, and I'm going to keep on, and I'm going to continue, because at the end of the day, God has to be acknowledged in all things that we do. We can do all things through Christ who strengthens us, and he didn't come to change the scribe Pharisees. So If he didn't come to change scribes and Pharisees, what did he say? He said he came to fulfill. So this is why he's ordaining us to fill him in as president of the United States on November 5th. With that being said, man, I appreciate y'all. Hit those subscriptions, notifications. We're going to be going up, and the channel is growing. So you are watching it, as it goes. We're getting news on a daily basis, and it's time to take this thing to another level. So I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Have a good day. This your man signing out, Bushan Glover, with a reaction to the DNC Day 2. The Obamas knocked it out the park. So can they keep the party going? We shall see. With that being said, man, y'all have a great day. Peace out.